But
I think, excuse me, I think Janet was collecting those the other night.
I've realized
How are you
since
doing?
that it was the Toronto mayor.
It figures, doesn't it?
Hi, Ralph. Hi, Rob.
Hello, how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Trying to keep warm.
Yeah, it's a little on the cool side.
It's a good thing I looked at the paper. Totally forgot 6 o'clock meeting. Totally. Because, usually, I was going to tell Allison, usually she sends us out a notice. Remember, the meeting's at 6 tonight.
Well, it's easy to forget.
She got you.
How's Marianne doing?
Well, she's still hobbling.
Still hot? She's in that boot still.
Yeah, but when it comes time, like she has to sit down and lay down, whatever.
I didn't leave a message. Allison, you supposed to send us an email reminding us at 6 o'clock.
I was running crazy.
No, and you know what, for some reason I had it laying on the calendar and I thought, I'm gonna look at that again.
Oh, that's funny.
And I thought, oh God, I gotta get out of here.
Now I had to get the kids.
Have you heard from the others? Oh, there's Jeff. Okay.
Now it helps.
So we, have
No.
you heard from Bob at all?
Mm-mm.
I think we'll go ahead and get started because we're, sorry. You're not late. We haven't
It's just
started
now,
yet.
it's just now 6 o'clock.
You're perfectly on time. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. This will be the Farragut Beer Board meeting for January 23rd, 2014. We do have several items tonight. The first being approval of the minutes from the November 19th, 2013. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or needed changes to that? Being none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
Any opposed?
Was I here?
No, you were
You
not.
were absent,
Yeah.
so you're good.
I abstained.
You're abstaining. Okay, motion passes, so we will move on to the next item. Let's see, get my notes in order. Here we go. We have 2 on-premise beer permit applications tonight. The first being for Taco Boy, 747 North Campbell Station Road.
I don't think either one of those applicants are here yet.
Okay. We'll just hold tight then in case perhaps they show up. Then next we have approval for, for either one of them. For
Neither one of
For
them.
China Pearl either, okay.
And
All
they-
right.
They got a reminder call today.
Okay, I'm gonna drop down then to item number 3, which is hearing to address Dixie Lee Shell beer permit violations of Town of Farragut Code of Ordinances 8-201.
Okay, flip over here. Okay, this is a violation, or a hearing on the violation for Dixie Lee Shell at 16289 Kingston Pike. The Knox County Sheriff's Office performed a beer sting on various businesses within the town of Farragut on December 12th. During the operation, an employee of this Dixie Lee Shell sold alcohol to a minor. A copy of the Knox County citation, the beer ordinance, and the beer hearing procedures are in your packet. The Beer Board, per Section 8-22(3), has the power to revoke or suspend the Dixie Lee Shell beer permit, or per Section 8-224, can offer a civil penalty as an alternate to the suspension. The holder shall have 7 days to pay the civil penalty. The civil penalty is not received in 7 days. The suspension shall begin 8 days after the Beer Board hearing. The civil penalty is paid within the time. The suspension shall be deemed withdrawn. Payment of the civil penalty in lieu of suspension by the beer holder shall be an admission by the holder of the violation so charged and shall be paid to the exclusion of any other penalty that the town may impose.
Do we have, did I see the officer here earlier?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Is there any additional comments that we need to receive from him for the evening?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we have some beer board hearing procedures in here. We try to follow because this can be a legal process
Right.
that eventually could be have an appeals process if they ever wanted to go that route. Maybe I think the next best thing to do would be to have anyone that is with the Dixie Lee Shell that plans on speaking tonight, if you wouldn't mind just coming down to the podium and state your name, and our town clerk will swear you in for your testimony tonight.
Okay, my name is Vasant Patel, and I'm the manager of the Dixie Lee Shell gas station. And we have the my friend of mine come from the India, and he sold the miner for the beer. We have the system to check the ID, but they didn't use it.
Before you get too much further, if you could let our town clerk,
Sure.
Allison Meyer, swear you in real
Okay.
quick.
Y'all please raise your right hand. So do you so swear that the evidence you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
If you would hold on just one moment, I'd like to have our Captain Alan May come forward and give
Sure, sir.
his opening statement about what happened that night.
I'm Captain Alan Wolfie May, Knox County Sheriff's Office. I'm a beer inspector for the town of Farragut and for Knox County. On December 12th, 2013, I conducted an underage beer sting at the Dixie Lee Shell at 16289 Kingston Pike, and my undercover agent bought 6-pack Bud Light bottles, Bud Light Lime.
Is it Mr. Patel?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, if you would, if you can make your opening statement if you'd like.
Yeah, that's like the one of my friend was coming from India, and I had to go doctor appointment, and he's standing there, and he didn't check the ID, and he sold the beer.
Okay.
I guilty.
Normally, at this point, we ask the accused party if they plead guilty or plead not guilty.
I do guilty.
You do? Okay.
Yes.
Well, then, I think that dispenses with really the need to go through a lot of the procedure that we normally go through to take the evidence. Do you have any extenuating circumstances or mitigating circumstances that you would want the board to know about related to this violation?
No, I don't have no question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I guess really it's up to the board to make a determination as to what the penalty should be.
Could I ask a question?
You may ask.
I'd like to ask the officer, has this place of business had any more problems?
Not that I can recall. Not in the last 3 years. In Knox County, we go 3 years back. So I've not done anything in 3 years.
And it was beer that he bought? Is that what you said?
Yes.
How often are stings conducted among the businesses in our area?
County, Knox County, and the town of Farragut, I have 200 places that have beer license. So I conduct sting, try to at least once a month, and I usually end up checking 30, 35 at the most.
So businesses in this area, on average, would be checked once a year, once every
Maybe twice a year is all.
twice a year? Okay, thank you.
If I recall correctly, the last time we had a situation like this where it was not a series of violations but a single one, we issued a fine of $500. I think that's probably appropriate again in this case. And I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. That puts closure on that item entirely, then, does it not?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to move on to item number 4. Hearing to address Farragut Market beer permit violations at Town of Farragut, Code of Ordinances 8-201.
The same criteria is the same with this beer sting as the previous one. It was held on December 12th, 2013, and Captain May is here if there are any questions, and I'll hand it over to Tom.
Thank you. Is the accused here? Okay. All right.
If you can, please go to the microphone.
And I guess before we take any statements from you, why don't we ask the officer to explain this particular set of facts for us, please, as an opening statement.
On December 12th, 2013, I conducted a underage beer sting on the Farragut Market, 11104 Kingston Pike, and undercover bought 2 25-ounce cans of Bud Light.
All right, thank you, sir. Would you like to make an opening statement, sir?
Sure. I own another store in
You probably should state your name and address, please.
Sorry. My name is Nick Patel. I'm the owner of Farragut Market in Knoxville, or
Thank
Farragut. I own another store as well in West Knoxville that I recently took over, and we've changed everything over to barcode scanning, 3-dimensional barcode scanning for driver's licenses. I've ordered the same system to replace the system we have here at Farragut. So once that's in place within the next 2 weeks, and I have the paperwork to show that I've already ordered it. I've also contacted Town of Farragut right now doesn't have that alcohol awareness program like Knox County does. So after she got with the beer sting and my other employees, I went ahead and signed everyone up for the alcohol awareness class with Diane Peterson. I contacted Captain May's office last week, but I think he was out on patrol or something. Did you get that message? Called last week. Young lady took the other message for your beer class. So all my employees are now, they took the classes for alcohol awareness, and now I'm in the process talking with Daryl from Nashville Beer Board or beer permitting to see if we can get what's that program?
The Responsible
Vendor Act.
Yes.
I've already paid the payment for it. Once we get the approval letter from that, we'll be taken care of for both stores. Now, Knox County only has one person that does the Responsible Vendor Act of 2006. That's Diane Peterson.
Right.
Weigel's Pilot, nobody else does it. So it'll be Diane Peterson, and then it'll be us. That's it.
Okay. Do you, normally at this point, we ask you if you plead guilty or not guilty to the violation?
Plead guilty.
All right. That then, like the first matter, dispenses with any need to take testimony. Board, would you like to ask any questions of Mr. Patel?
Well, I would like to ask the officer if any other violations have been placed on this market.
This is the second one that I've done. I'm not sure Allison would be able to tell you the first one was, it's been in the last 3 years.
August
2010.
Were you the owner then, Mr. Patel?
Yes, ma'am. The violation was against me. That's when I decided to take the top shelf class myself. Farragut didn't require it. I took the class anyway to better understand the rules and regulations of alcohol for myself. I have a copy of that permit as well.
Okay.
So if I get that straight, Mr. Patel, you were the one cited in August of 2010, and now we're 3 years later, and you've got an employee who's been cited again
Correct.
at the same store that you own,
Yes, sir.
right?
Also,
Again, that jumps out at me, regardless of what you've taken. I mean, that just strikes me as a real lack of oversight, a real lack of any kind of control over this situation twice in 3 years. And again, since you were personally involved in one, I guess as an owner, my assumption would be you would be making sure this wouldn't happen again.
There's always room for human error. I mean, I can put the most expensive POS system in, but,
Correct, but who is responsible? Where
I
does the
am.
buck stop?
I
You
am.
are, correct.
so the first violations was in 2010 when I took over the business. The second one was in 2013, 4 years later.
Well, 3 years later. So the fact is that you took over the business, but you own the business at the time of both violations, correct? Okay. And again, should someone, underage minor, be taking beer out of this, purchasing this store, and wind up getting into an accident or getting killed or something,
my
who would be
responsibility.
responsible for that?
Yes, sir.
You would be,
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay, so it's a serious offense.
It is a serious offense, but once we have the new barcode scanning, it will not happen again because you have to scan your actual driver's license. You can't manually input date of births. That's what we here use at the other store. And Captain May did a beer sting at that particular store in West Knoxville, and we passed.
If I could say one more thing, then I'll sit down. August 8, 2013, Mr. Patel has a store in Knox County that was cited for underage beer sale.
If I can address that issue as well. I bought the store in 2013 of July. I kept a Weigel's employee that's worked there for 7 years as a manager, never had a single problem. Weigel's, their policy is if you ever have a beer sting and you get cited, you're fired. He was clean for 7 years, never had an incident at all. 2 weeks into working with me, had a problem. Since then, I've replaced all the computer systems, and now he's having to learn, but the barcode scanning system works.
Question for Captain May. Describing a comment was made about the barcode, and again, I'm not a technical person, but I always familiar with convenience stores used to have no beer sold to someone whose birth date is before this date. That seems pretty simple. If you could, I mean, how for these convenience stores, how easy is, I imagine a barcode would be one thing, but how does this work relative to just simply looking at a driver's license, and if your date doesn't match up before that, you don't sell it?
On any underage, under 21, beside the photo, there's a red stripe that says under 21 years of age until 2015, 16, whenever they turn 21. Every person under the age of 21, they have that on their ID card. That's one of the things that I tell the store owners, the employees, is you don't have to do the math. All you have to do is look at the red stripe, because it'll tell you when that person is 21 years of age. Every person in Tennessee that has a driver's license under 21 has that identification on it.
So it's very straightforward. I mean, there's no confusion about it.
You don't have to try to do the math in your head. You don't have to do it on a calculator. All you have to do is read the red stripe. And I've got a copy of the driver's license that I use, my underage person. I'd be more than happy to let you look at it if you want to see exactly what I'm talking about.
Thank you. So I understand it, per our rules, you have to be cited twice within 12 months in order for a suspension to take place. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Let me ask, are you a responsible vendor? Did you do the responsible vendor training yourself personally?
I did.
So you've already done that yourself. Have any of your other employees done that work yet?
She took the class last Friday.
Okay, so both of you have.
Yes, as
done
well as 3 other employees.
I would just like to state that because he's pleaded guilty, because he's definitely made an effort to try to change what has happened, I believe that he should be fined the $500.
I respectfully disagree. I think this is 2 offenses, the same ownership. He was involved in one personally. I can't see a $500 nothing as being anything meaningful in this situation.
Yes.
I'm very concerned that, again, you were personally involved in the first one, and you know, this has happened again. This is a serious issue with underage sales to minors, and it's a public safety issue. And I would be in favor of a suspension, but unfortunately, apparently our rules don't allow for that. but the maximum is $1,000, and I would be in favor of that.
Alderman Elliott, I just want to make sure that I think our rules and regulations under our ordinance do allow for suspensions. There is no timetable for second offenses as regards to anybody that's not a responsible vendor, and currently he is not. This store is not a responsible vendor, so you would have the opportunity or the decision to either give them a civil penalty or to give them in lieu of that, or excuse me, give them a suspension or revocation, whatever you choose, of any number of days, and also in lieu of that, a civil penalty of up to $2,500 could be given to them.
Okay, because what I have, it says it's not to exceed 1,000. That's the responsible.
That's for
vendor, not
responsible
responsible.
vendor. Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Just a point of clarity on that from an educational standpoint only. Is the 12 months related to a specific store, or is it related to a vendor? Does that make sense? I'm just trying to understand. If I understood from Captain Allen that the other store had a violation, if I heard the dates correctly, within the last 12 months. I'm not making a motion. I'm simply asking a question. Is it the vendor or the store for the 12-month period?
Are you, Alderman Honkin, are you referring to Section 8-224A?
Yeah.
Responsible vendor?
Yeah, and again, I'm just asking an educational question. You know, where it talks about, Alderman Elliott was referring to, 2 violations within a 12-month period. Is the violations, is it at the same store, or is it with the same vendor? And in this case, where one's in Knox County, one's in Knox, right, maybe one's in Knoxville, I guess, one's in Farragut. Does that make it? I'm just asking the educational question in case it comes up in the future.
I don't want to confuse anybody. They are not a responsible vendor currently. So
Right.
this section of the code that we're referring to is not applicable
It's not
at
applicable.
this time.
I know, I'm just
Okay.
curious, for the if it would come up, is it per store or is it per vendor?
Does that say clearly?
I would assume with it being vendor, it wouldn't make any difference if it was in 2 different stores or not.
We may need to get some clarification.
Okay.
Again, since there aren't any responsible vendors, we haven't
Yeah.
had to get that clarification from the state. Usually we get that information
Okay. I
from
was
the
just
state of
asking.
Tennessee.
Yeah, and I apologize, I was just trying to get clarity. in
Sure.
case-
Sorry about that.
So what we could do is, underneath B, the maximum fine would be up to $2,500, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm actually in Alderman Elliott's camp, with this being the second, and then, having some concern with the other store in the recent past having had a violation as well. That, I think that kind of ups the ante a little bit, so I'm not sure $500 is suitable in this case.
Could I withdraw my motion since we don't have the second?
Yes.
And then make the penalty 1,000?
You're doing that as a formal motion too?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any additional discussion, or is there a second on that particular motion?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor of a $1,000 penalty?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Can I ask a quick question? Because it's the 2 stores are 2 different locations. One's in Farragut, one's in Knox County. If Captain May can explain, or maybe you can explain, for Sunday beer sales, Knox County is, we can't sell beer until 10 a.m., correct? Captain May? 10 a.m. Sunday morning beer? What is Farragut's rules? Is it still 10 a.m.? Even though
Sunday is 10 a.m.
10 a.m.,
Mhm.
okay. Okay, that's all I need to know.
Okay.
Other
Thank you.
days are what?
Thank
I'm sorry?
Other days are what?
The other days, you can begin at 5 a.m.
Okay, I'm going to digress back up to item number 2. Do we have either of the applicants?
I think the Taco Boy applicant is here.
Okay. Then I'm going to go to item 2A, approval for an on-premise beer permit for Taco Boy, 747 North Campbell Station Road.
Sorry. Okay, this is for an on-premise beer permit for Taco Boy at 747 North Kimball Station. All of the
Trying to figure out.
paperwork is in order for this applicant, and the motion's to approve an on-premise beer permit for Taco Boy, subject to obtaining a certificate of occupancy.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant at all?
When do you open?
Tomorrow.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
no
yeah.
problem.
Okay, there it is. Okay, thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Motion passes. Welcome to Farragut.
Thank you.
And let's see, that's, the second applicant is not here with China Pearl. Okay, I'm going to bring closure then to the January 23rd, 2014 board meeting.
You were right. That was not much. I should have made it 1,000 to begin with.
The Board of Mayor and Aldermen will convene at 7 o'clock.
$35 to kill.
We can read our book.
Yeah, really.
We can read our notes.
Board back into session. We have
Yeah.
the second applicant that wasn't able to be here initially for the meeting. They are now here, and we're going to allow them the opportunity for us to finish this agenda item. So with that said, I'm going to call back to order the January 23rd, 2014 Farragut Beer Board. We have gone through all the items except item 2B, which is an approval for an on-premise beer permit for China Pearl, 115 Brooklawn Street.
Yes, sir. This restaurant is actually an existing business. It's the China Pearl over near Kroger. And they had a beer permit with the previous owner. Since the restaurant does have new owners, a new beer permit must be obtained. The application and information are all in order. The motion is to approve an on-premise beer permit for China Pearl, 115 Brooklawn Street, subject to attaining a certificate of occupancy.
Do any members of the board have any questions for the applicant at all? With there being none, is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I'm going to then reclose the Farragut Beer Board meeting for this evening. So, thank you. You are good. Everything's taken care of. Thank you for coming.
We still have 5 minutes before the Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. We have to wait till 7 because that's when the TV comes up and starts taking pictures.
You're going to need yes.
While we're at it, we note that there are a number of Boy Scouts here. I assume you're working on a badge, right? We have some pins down here. We can each take one. It doesn't qualify as a badge for Boy Scouts, but you might like it. And we'll also give you an opportunity to come down when it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance and lead us in the pledge, if you wish.
Does she not look like Carla? Every time I was telling her, every time I see her,
Let's see.
it's
Do
weird.
we have enough?
It's the weirdest
You
thing.
might need some more.
Oh,
1,
need some
2,
more?
3, 4, 5, 6. Do you have 6?
No.
We need one more. Here she comes.
There's some more coming.
Pin link.
Thanks for coming, fellas.
One more or two more? Everybody have one?
You just
Yes, sir.
guess so. You're right on top.
One just appeared.
Quiet.
Yes, they all got one.
All right. Yeah, doing fine. Stay warm. Unbelievable. Worst time, first thing this morning. You were. Walking here and what are you doing out there? We got tops on it. So,
Yep, we've already done the fencing.
wind just blowing across. Side
Next,
area
that's
there.
probably going next week.
That's where I grew up. It's a great
Wrong
little
guy.
town.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed
And rolled it up.
projects up there last year, and it's a neat place. Just kind of weird to have 2 hospitals.
Those are not.
side by side.
Yeah, I know.
Totally separate, you know, so weird.
And the red
You were
tent
up there
park in Morrissey.
for Marshall Hamlin.
Yeah, yeah, that's the one we're involved
On
with.
Valley Road. We're up there, Jason. It was. It's the only place to work. It was kind of trashy there. Really kind of trashy. So to them, it's really not. They do it all on donations.
You know Tom Stray? Yep. Tom's my cousin.
I said, yeah, geez, how come you just give it away? No, because it's worth more than $100.
Or veteran,
It has to be $100. That's our threshold.
$100. I know Jack.
Scrap metal alone's worth that.
I'm sure it is.
going around the room.
Surprised it's
Scott Rains on it.
that many people are
Not now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
But old George Hager, I mean, he'll keel over one of these days, that's about it. Yeah, there's no rotation of the chair on that one. He's a good guy. I was at UT, he was a donor of mine when I was there, so I knew him going way back.
In the audience.
He was station furniture, he was CFO over there for
Yep.
years. Yeah. I'd go in and visit him when I was so long, he's got piled
Smartest guy in here, huh?
3-4 feet, piled up all the biggest kick eyes. You know, how do you get things done in this place? You know, I know where everything is. Don't doubt it.
time. You couldn't say that.
Good guy, though, really good. Yeah, his wife passed away last fall, so sad. Gone in for a cardiac procedure.
First thought.
Of all places,
Yeah.
went in and some complications. But he,
How are you?
he's doing okay.
Well, good.
Got a good support
Because
system.
they could afford it.
Kids, family,
Yeah.
it's helpful.
I remembered his kids. His kids were
You know, that me was so refreshing.
a little bit younger than me.
I flipped a switch.
I think of George as being all that old.
Well, it's now 7 o'clock, and I'm calling to order the meeting of the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for January 23rd, 2014.
Yeah.
We'll start by rising for a moment of silent prayer, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Now the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Born and unborn.
First item of business is to approve the agenda. It's fairly short tonight, and I would recommend that we go ahead and approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next item is the mayor's report. Well, there's a lot of news, but I don't want to cover the news before the newspaper does. So I'll skip any mayor's report tonight. Anybody else want to say anything? So we'll move on to citizens forum. Do we have anybody?
No, sir.
Okay. Zipping right along. Approval of minutes for the January 9th, 2014 meeting.
I'll make a motion for approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Business items. First is an approval of resolution R-2014-02 declaring certain town property to be surplus.
Yes, sir. This resolution is to have the TAPCON GMS-2 GPS unit to be replaced this year. This unit is in good condition, as a market value of more than $100. Therefore, it meets the criteria to be a surplus item. The town will be advertising the GPS unit on govdeals.com, which is an online government surplus auction site. Resolution approval will allow for the removal of the items from the fixed asset list and advertise for sale on the GovDeals website. The motion is to approve Resolution R 2014-02, resolution declaring certain town property be surplus.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Next item is approval of resolution R-2014-03, renaming of Campbell Station Park.
Thank you, Mayor. This The Campbell Station Park was originally named in May of 1998. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen at that time named it Campbell Station Park because of the Campbell Station Inn and everything else that was so historical about the area and the natural beauty of the park. At our last meeting, Vice Mayor LaMarche asked me to put this item on your agenda to consider renaming the park Founders Park at Campbell Station. We went to the Parks and Athletics Council last week and talked to them about this. They recommended to change the name to Founders Park at Campbell Station. And giving some of the historical significance that we've added to the park recently with a historical marker and the historical trail that runs through the park, and just paying homage to the founders that have made our town so great, from the early settlers all the way up to today. So with that, this is on your agenda for approval of Resolution R-214-03.
Dot, you should make the motion. Yeah.
Okay, I will make a motion that we approve this resolution, R-2014-03, to rename Campbell Station Park to Founders Park at Campbell Station.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Next item then is approval of contract for retail strategies.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a agenda item for professional service agreement with the Retail Strategies Group for retail marketing services for the town of Farragut. If you'll recall, back in November of 2012, we hired a group called the Shopping Center Group to begin doing our retail marketing for us in anticipation of trying to get more retailers here to our area. They did an admirable job, but they wound up getting out of the business this past year, and so we had to go back out for RFP recently, and we had 2 different companies respond to that RFP and had a committee formed. We looked at both proposals, and we chose Retail Strategies based out of Birmingham, Alabama, to be our best fit for our town and what we would have them do. Some of the additional services that they would provide us, besides just demographic information, the things that you typically get, are they actually set up appointments with retailers for us if we were to go to the ICSC convention, or even if we don't go, they'll also act on our behalf and respond on our behalf. They also do proactive retail marketing to retailers and tenant reps all over the country. So they'll continuously update those people about Farragut, telling them what the great things we have in town are. And we've also talked to them about some feasibility studies for a couple different properties in town to figure out how much retail could actually go on those properties, so that way we have a better understanding when we go talk to retailers about what their needs may be. So with that, this contract is a 3-year contract with the option to renew for 2 additional years. The budget for this year is $25,500, as would be year 2. And then years 3 and beyond would be for $25,000 if we so choose to renew at those times. So with that, I would recommend approval to the board and be happy to try to answer any questions for you.
Mr. Smoke, is there anything different in this contract from the one that we had with the shopping center group, besides from the additional services, as far as the term, price, and so forth?
This contract is higher than we had with the shopping center group. Initially, the shopping center group did kind of a 2-phase approach with us. So I would say the first year cost would have been roughly the same, but the renewal costs were around $17,500. So this is a little additional dollars. What they are doing, though, is obviously they're giving us a little bit better service, and they're also going to do a strategic plan for us to determine, what our real method should be on retail recruitment here for our area, and what kind of vendors we should be looking for. So ongoing, I think, though, we're going to get a great service from them on being able to utilize them at our different ICSC conventions. Obviously, every year we tend to go to the large convention in May out in Las Vegas, but they have several of these things all over the country every year, and Retail Strategies goes to each one of those. And so when they're at those, they'll actually sit down with people and talk about Farragut and try to get vendors to come to Farragut on our behalf, so we don't have to be there. And I think that's going to be a good additional service that we don't have now.
I think this has been a good use of our dollars as a community. I applaud previous members of this board for doing this. You know, our community, we have a lot of guests here tonight, and you know, it's important for people to know the reason that we as a community are in a position to not have a property tax is because of the sales tax revenue that we have from the businesses that locate here. And certainly the demands and expectations of the people that live in the town of Farragut, you know, will continue to rise. And so far we've been able to be, with the exception of the recent payments we have in the future for the Russell House, we have been debt-free. And that's, I can tell you, many of the younger folks won't have as great of appreciation for it, but that is very unusual in the country that we live in. So for us to continue on this path is a good thing. You know, if you tell people that the town of Farragut would have a Best Buy and a big J.C. Penney and most importantly a big Costco sitting in our community, they'd be shocked by that. So the efforts that have gone into this have proven fruitful, and I just really think it's a neat thing. So with that said, I'll move for approval.
I'll second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Town administrators report.
Mayor and Board, we had our first Intro to Farragut kind of get together last week. It was a great event. We have 13 members or citizens going through the process right now. I know a couple of them are in the audience tonight, so we appreciate you being here. But we have our first meeting on the history of the town next Tuesday night here at Town Hall. So we're looking forward to getting them started, and that'll be a 6-class process every 2 weeks that we'll be meeting over the next couple months. So anyway, just wanted to let everybody know about that, and I have nothing else to report at this time.
Attorney's report.
No report. This might be a record.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, let me tell all of you in the audience, you've just sat through a historic meeting because it's now the shortest meeting in the history of the town, 34 years. And given that you're not ready to go back outside, I'm going to give you the opportunity to ask us anything you want, complain about anything you want. This is a good forum for that, and it's free. So, who has a question?
And warm, free and warm. I mean, doesn't
That would be nice.
Yep.
I'm one of the members of the class of Farragut.
Yeah.
The history Farragut class. I was wondering, I live about a half a mile outside of Farragut, and I've been living here 15 years, and I wonder, how does one get annexed? How does one
Well, in the state of Tennessee,
annex into Farragut? And what would be the benefits?
in the state of Tennessee, there will be no annexing for 2 years by decree of the legislature. And in fact, beyond that, there are no cities going to be, no more cities in Tennessee, they say.
No more new cities.
No more new cities by decree of the legislature. Now, are those good or bad rules? I don't know. But the fact is, we can't annex. And even if that rule didn't go into place, the 2-year thing from last year, Mayor Burchett would not let us annex anything.
But the good news is you can still move into our town, so just move down the street.
But
Where are
but since
you
you're not
exactly?
in, you know, you get all the benefits of being in the town without paying for it. Of course, we're not paying for it either. Sales tax is. But anyway, I wish it weren't that, because you know, you people, we're glad to have you in town, but the fact is, we take care of the roads for everybody. Knox County does it. Yeah.
My name is Claude Franklin. I'm also a member of the League of
Yeah.
And I'm not familiar with the legislation that decided what will there be instead of cities.
Well,
Counties. Now, they're not, I don't think they're gonna make cities go out of business. But, the legislature, in my opinion, and don't quote me, is anti-city. And that shows in all their legislation that relates to, somebody's got a bill in the legislature this year that would nullify any city's ban on guns in the parks. In other words, it's guns everywhere. Now, I own a gun. I am a Second Amendment believer, but I just don't get this thing. I don't get it. Nevertheless, this is all off the record because we're off TV, I hope.
No, we haven't officially adjourned the meeting, so.
Well, okay, we're now adjourned. Now, turn it off and